today I'm going to tell you about the Richardson familicide. Nobody was a fan of 12-year-old Jasmine Richardson's no-good boyfriend, Jeremy Steinke. He was 11 years older than her, had a history of violence, and just seemed like bad news. But as much as everyone hated Jeremy, no one expected him to execute Jasmine's entire family. On the morning of April 23, 2006, a young neighbor visited the house for a play date with Jasmine's 8-year-old brother, Jacob. No one answered the door, so the little boy looked through the window. After spotting what he thought was a body, he ran to tell his mother, who then called the police. Officers responded to the call, rushing to the home in Medicine Hat, Canada. The authorities found the bodies of 42-year-old Mark Richardson and his 48-year-old wife, Deborah Richardson. They were both lying lifeless in the basement, covered in puncture wounds. In an upstairs bedroom, investigators found the body of Mark and Deborah's 8-year-old son, Jacob. During their search of the home, the authorities spotted a family photo and realized Mark and Deborah had another kid, 12-year-old Jasmine Richardson. She was nowhere to be found in the home. One of the first places investigators went to search for Jasmine was her middle school. They looked through her locker for any clues as to where she might be, and that's where they found a concerning drawing. It was of a stick figure family in a home that was on fire. Next to it, there was a girl running away to a truck with a guy in it. Investigators did some more digging and found out Jasmine was dating a man named Jeremy, 11 years Jasmine's senior, that her parents, for obvious reasons, didn't approve of. After looking through some emails, messages, and blog posts, detectives discovered Jasmine and Jeremy were responsible for the crime. The police tracked the couple down in Jeremy's truck in Saskatchewan, where they were promptly arrested for the demise of the Richardson family. Up until her preteen years, Jasmine Richardson was an average child. But at age 11, Jasmine started experimenting and suddenly found herself involved in the goth scene. Jasmine started wearing all black, putting on a lot of makeup, and going to punk rock concerts. People definitely noticed Jasmine's new lifestyle. Jasmine's classmates grew scared of her, and teachers said she looked and acted much older than she was. At one of the punk rock concerts Jasmine went to, she met Jeremy Steinke. She was 12, he was 23. They began dating, and things quickly got very serious. Everyone in Jasmine's life was very concerned about her new relationship for many reasons. Jeremy didn't have the greatest reputation. He had issues with anger and violence and was fully convinced he was a mythical creature. For all of you backstory people, Jeremy had a pretty troubled childhood. His mom was an alcoholic and her boyfriend was abusive to Jeremy. Jeremy was often a victim of bullying and struggled with self-harm. But somewhere along the way, he found his inner goth, and then along came Jasmine. Now, imagine being Jasmine's parents. They hated the fact that their daughter was involved with him, and then when Jasmine started talking to her parents about marrying Jeremy, they knew they had to do something to get Jasmine away from him. They took away her computer and told Jasmine she was no longer allowed to see Jeremy. They reportedly spoke via email, vampirefreaks.com, and Nixopia, which is a Canadian social networking site. During their conversations, Jasmine proposed a grand idea to make sure they'd be able to be together. They would need to execute her parents. He was emailing her things like, "I miss you more than killing people," and "Can we get together and kill people together?" And sometime after that, Jasmine replied, "I have this plan. It begins with me killing them and ends with me living with you." On the night of April 3rd, 2006, Jeremy shared his blog post online. "Payment. My lover's rents are totally unfair. They say that they really care. They don't know what is going on. They just assume. Their throats I want to slit. Finally, there shall be silence. Their blood shall be payment." Jeremy snuck into the Richardsons' home with the stereotypical criminal attire, all black clothing, and a ski mask. His weapon of choice was a butcher knife. Deborah woke up after hearing a noise downstairs, so she went to the basement to see if everything was okay. That's when Jeremy started jabbing her with his blade. Shortly after that, Mark ran downstairs because he heard his wife scream. Mark was armed with a screwdriver, which he used to defend himself. Unfortunately, Jeremy overpowered Mark and hacked away at him with his blade. During all of this, 8-year-old Jacob woke up. This was not a part of Jasmine and Jeremy's plan. Jasmine rushed to her brother's room to pretend to comfort him, but it wasn't long until Jeremy came up there. He and Jasmine decided they had to end Jacob's life too. A week or so after Jasmine and Jeremy were caught by the police, a third person was arrested. It was 19-year-old Casey Lancaster, who was a friend of Jeremy's. She was charged as an accessory because she helped hide evidence. Jasmine's trial began in 2007. Any case involving a minor as the aggressor is always very tough to handle. From all the reports I read, she seemed to have grown up in a safe, loving household. And even though the messages showed Jasmine as the first one to bring up the idea, a lot of people point fingers at Jeremy. He clearly had an influence on her in many aspects. So Jasmine told the jury she didn't do it, and her messages about executing her parents were only hypothetical. The jury didn't buy Jasmine's story, and they found her guilty on all 3 counts. To this day, Jasmine is the youngest person convicted for multiple homicides in Canada. She was given a 10-year sentence, which is the maximum jail time a minor under the age of 14 can receive. The next 4 years were spent in a psychiatric facility, and the 4 years after that were under conditional community supervision. During her time in prison, Jasmine was subjected to psychiatric assessments, where she was diagnosed with conduct disorder and oppositional defiant disorder. Conduct disorder is a behavior disorder where people don't care about social norms, rules, or people's feelings. Those with conduct disorder are often violent and aggressive without any regard for the consequences of their actions. Oppositional defiant disorder is just what it sounds like. Kids who have it are defiant, uncooperative, and hostile towards authority figures. As unfortunate as these diagnoses are, it gave a lot of people peace of mind knowing there was something deeper going on with Jasmine's mind. She didn't just commit this act out of pure cruelty. During her time in prison, Jasmine started taking classes at Mount Royal University in Calgary, Alberta. She was determined to turn her life around. Jasmine underwent extensive rehab and therapy, and in 2012 publicly stated remorse for her actions. In May of 2016, Jasmine completed her sentence and her supervision was lifted. She now lives as a free woman in an undisclosed location in Canada. And what happened to Jeremy? In 2008, he was found guilty for his part of the crimes, and since he was a full-blown adult, he got 3 life sentences with the opportunity for parole after 25 years. In the first few years of his sentence, Jeremy and Jasmine wrote love letters back and forth, talking about how excited they were for marriage. But it's 2022, and the couple remains unmarried. It's unclear if they're still in contact. As for Casey, the third person arrested, her accessory charge was dropped and she took a guilty plea for obstruction. She received a 1-year house arrest sentence and was prohibited from drinking and partaking in substances. What do you think about all of this? Should Jasmine still be in jail? Do you think she would have committed this crime if it weren't for Jeremy? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching Killer Bites. I'm Brandi. See you next time.